Hey, this is Matthew Gardner here, or Shaman Matthew, as I go by in the coaching realm. Really excited to be here and deliver this short message to you guys. We had a phenomenal class earlier today. It's Sunday. It's Easter Sunday. And for those of you that know me, Gail, my late fiance, she passed away April 18th, 2020. So it's as of tomorrow will officially have been 2 years since her passing. And it's phenomenal. It's a celebration. It's a celebration of her life. And of course, she has risen to a higher frequency, a higher level of consciousness. And that's exactly what I want to touch on today. I want to touch on the law of attraction. And I mean, this is something that, has been around for a couple of decades now in the mainstream, longer perhaps. And some people are like, what, they're tired of hearing about it, or it seems old, or it seems new age, or whatever. And you know what? It's your own experience, what you want to have with this thing. But the fact is, and you can do this right now to prove it to yourself, when you have a thought, you have a corresponding emotion with that thought. Now, rather than think of it like just a thought, let's use something more specific. So I'm looking at my external microphone. If I think about external microphone, what's my associated emotion with that? Well, in my case, this microphone has served me very well and amplifies my voice when I'm doing these videos. So I have a positive emotion about that microphone, right? But for me personally, I have a food intolerance. So if I think about a specific food, like if I actually think about the thought of drinking a glass of cow's milk, for example, if I actually think that, I start to get like pains in my stomach, very mild pains in my stomach. And that's basically my body saying, no, don't do that. Now, you could say, hey, I have a negative perception of dairy. That could be true. But also for practical means, that's an indicator for me to avoid that. So sometimes when we think of someone, right? Classical cases, think about your mother-in-law, but I'm joking. But if there's anyone in your life that you don't absolutely love and embrace, that could be someone in your personal life, family member, professional colleague, or it could be someone in the media, political figure, something. And you think about that person, what's your immediate response? Just the immediate response. Don't think about it. You think about the person, and then boom, what's the emotion? And that's basically the law of attraction in action, or that's, the beginnings of it. And it's showing you that you may or may not have a judgment. Now, you might say, oh, I feel neutral. Probably not really the case. You're probably not being completely honest with yourself. There's very few things that we probably just feel fully neutral about. If anything, that's more likely there's a pattern of suppression going on if you are trying to convince yourself that you feel neutral about something. Like I'm looking at my window and I see this green grass, but that makes me happy, right? Or I see the teal color of the room that I'm renting here. I guess I could say I'm kind of, come see, come saw on that. I'm sort of neutral. Would I prefer it to be another color? Yeah, but I'm not going to be here for years and years, so it's not a big deal. So in the context of me being here, I'm happy it's not pink, bright, vibrant pink. I don't know, maybe I'd prefer that. I don't know, but I think you guys get the point. I'm giving you some examples of how to get an idea here. And so what I want to do is share with you a little bit of a dialogue around this, right? And how we're paying attention to our thoughts, but more so our judgments about our thoughts, or our judgments about the things in our lives, right? And because it's our judgments. Now, I'm using judgment in the sense that, like, you might look at something and have a positive response, and I'll just, that's your response. You might look at something and have a negative response. That's your response. You could call that a judgment. And if you're judging something, generally it means there's some level of resistance. There's something out of alignment. In order for this law of attraction thing to work the way it's intended to work, or the way it would work in the real world, the highest level of reality for you, where everything is bliss and joy, that alignment has to be there. So we're going to talk a little bit about getting into that alignment. I appreciate you guys hanging in with me here. So it all starts with that awareness, self-awareness. How are you feeling about what you're perceiving? And that's the indicator. From there, you have to use that as a learning device, right? Because our human experience, our brain, our body is consistently gathering information from the outside, and it's learning, it's trying to interpret that information. But the challenge is, through our perceptions, there's filters there. And sometimes those filters are really clogged up. Like imagine your furnace or the air filtration system in your house, and you haven't changed the filter in like a decade. Right? It's going to be gunked up. So the airflow isn't going to be as good, and therefore the heating and cooling in your house isn't going to be as effective. Right? So most of us are walking around with clogged filters. In fact, most of us, if not all of us, are born with that. Born with that in terms of the DNA structure, and then certainly indoctrinated into that in our conditioned environment to whatever degree, some lesser than others. Of course, that you probably know that, and it's probably been your own experience. So gathering information, but also knowing how do we take that knowledge, or rather, how do we take that information and turn it into knowledge? Well, we have to release those filters first and foremost, right? We have to be able to have a clear perception. So that's why I host on Sundays the Frequency of Business Performance, because it's all about releasing those barriers, those filters, those perceptions, and getting into a higher frequency for our greatest creative outlet in life, which is typically through business. And then when you truly embody that knowledge and you've gathered the information, then you can put it into action. Right? This might seem obvious or straightforward, but it's important to master the basics. It's important to master with enthusiasm these ideas, because this is how we fundamentally operate. And if you're missing any pieces here, or if things aren't working exactly the way you'd like them to, then it means that something's out of alignment. And sometimes that's annoying, because it's like, Matthew, I've heard this stuff before. Well, great, because I want you to hear it a million times, and I want you to hear it in a brand new way every time you hear it. Because in order to be a master, you have to what? Master the basics. All right, perfect. So once you've got that knowledge and you're turning it into action, it's important to pay attention to the signs of that knowledge too, because knowledge in terms of, oh, I know something intellectually, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about heart knowledge. You feel it in your body. You feel it with your passion and enthusiasm. And there's a feeling that is absolutely compelling you. There's a feeling that's absolutely compelling you to move forward in your life and take that step. And sometimes some people call it like a step of faith or a leap of faith. And in a sense, you could call it that, because it's coming from faith in your heart, where you know fundamentally it's what you need to be doing. And that's very important. And you go for it. You take that action step, and then something happens. You get a response. And did you go full out and totally invest in that? Did you hesitate? You'll be able to gauge that and get feedback. That's important. Reaffirming to yourself the results of your actions is important, but also reaffirming the truth about following your heart, knowing that you're an infinite being. And it can require some reminding of yourself. In fact, again, on Sundays when I host the Frequency of Business Performance, the whole purpose of that is as a reminder. It's for us to get in touch with our whole self and remember, hey, we're not an isolated ego. We're not an isolated identity in a human body. This is a part of the overall experience. And it's an opportunity to channel that higher awareness and start putting it into action. And so affirming that in different ways. Now, that could be literally through an affirmation, which that needs to be felt. If you're going to tell yourself you're an infinite being, you got to fundamentally know that it's true to whatever degree is most relevant for you. in that moment, because when you absolutely know something, you don't have to be reminded of it anymore. But it's a reminder that I'm an infinite being. I'm not subject to negativity. I'm not subject to my judgments. I'm not subject to the negative external forces that I'm interpreting to be negative, because they're not actually negative, right? I'm interpreting that way. I'm not subject to my own judgments, remembering that everything we experience in life is a gift to ourselves. And even if we're not perceiving it that way, even if we're not using it in a positive way, which it's always our choice to do that, it's still a gift. We get to recognize that. We need to affirm these things. This entire video is an affirmation of what is true, what is you, what is real, what is relevant for you. If you're still watching this right now, that means this message is for you because it's resonating. And obviously, if somebody turned it off or didn't even bother to stop and watch because it didn't catch their attention, that's because it's not relevant for them. So whatever's relevant for you will be attracted to you. You'll feel it. You'll feel the magnetism. You'll feel it be pulled in. And that is an affirmation of what is true to you and your path. And then finally, friendship. Friendship is so important. And I don't mean in terms of just you and I being friends, right? That's really important because everyone's our brother and sister. But the outcome of this is a friendly universe. The outcome of this is a friendly planet, a friendly earthly experience entering what is called the real world. And the real world is where everything is perfect, pristine, positive, bliss, God's planet, right? And that's a frequency that always exists and we're always connected to it. How do we stay in touch with it? Through the heart, through our heart, doing everything we can in every moment to stay present to that energy, right? And that's our magnetic force. When we connect to that, now we're starting to draw that in again via the law of attraction. Now you're identifying with that frequency. So guess what? You're going to have different forms of interactions with people. You're going to have different awarenesses about circumstances that may have already been created, but you'll interpret it differently. And you'll start to see, hey, if this is feeling like this isn't exactly what I've been looking for, you'll start to avail yourself of doors opening. Now, for your ego, that may be uncomfortable. That may involve like hiring a coach, for example, and spending a few $1,000 or $5,000 or $10,000 investing in your business or yourself. And you might have some hesitations, but you'll also feel that it's the right thing to do. And basically, you want to be in a position, you have to train yourself for this, or rather decondition yourself to be in this natural state, is where that heartfelt feeling is greater than the resistance, greater than the hesitation. It's okay if that's there, but the heart's going to overwhelm it, take it over, and then you're going to absolutely know in your heart you're doing the right thing, and you're going to follow through, and it's going to feel safe. It's not going to feel risky, right? Like if you're investing in yourself, it's going to feel like, hey, I have buyer protection, right? There's a money back guarantee, or there's a guarantee. So, you know, I'm using that because I recently invested in a coach, and I had just that same experience, but I also know that I'm fully protected in terms of like, I'm going to get a result. Like I'm committed. I know that they're amazing. And I know that this is this is the best investment I could make for myself at this time. That's how you want to feel. There's no real risk involved because you know it's exactly what you need to be doing. And there's no chance that, you know, you're going to lose out on the money or anything like that, right? That's when you're really living in your heart. Like there's no associated risk, right? If you're looking at an investment where it's like, hey, I could put $5,000 into this thing and, you know, it could return me, you know, 5% a day or 5% a week or 5% a month. And it seems maybe too good to be true, or it seems like something that is, you know, it's not normal. Like, is it real? Well, I have to do more research. But if it feels like you're taking a risk and like a negative sense of vulnerability, like I might lose all this, but I'm going to take a leap of faith. No, that's likely not your heart telling you to do that, because you're not going to create circumstances that seem risky in that way when you're following your heart genuinely. Okay, so I hope you guys are clear on that. This has been amazing. I'm so grateful for all you being in my life. Please put your comments. I'm going to throw this on YouTube as well. So if you're on YouTube, give me the like, give me the comment. Go ahead and hit that bell so that you can be notified of future videos. Really love you guys, sending you all this light, love, positive vibes. This is the life we're meant to live. This is you shining your light. And these messages are designed to help you continue that. So this is Shaman Matthew here. I'll see you on the next video. Love and light. Bye for now.